The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome into my State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. Tonight, Dan McGowen joins us. He's the Boston Globe writer who's really perfected a business online with the entire crew that they have down here in Rhode Island right now, giving a brand new perspective in journalism. And of course, Dan has always been a friend of the show and offers perspective on a lot of things, including but not limited to what's going on in education, Providence City Hall, and of course, what's happening with the governor, COVID briefings and COVID strategies and the like. And all of that will be our conversation this evening. So let's get started. And now this does feel a little like the regular days, if you will. Tapping Dan McGowen when he worked for WPRI and now at the Boston Globe Online is always one of my favorite things to do because it's a talking shop thing for a couple of media press guys, and I get so much from him, and I happen to just enjoy his company. So here we are, Zooming our revisit. Long overdue, my friend. How are you, and how is the newspaper business in the middle of all of this?
Well, it's good to see you. It's not quite the same as sitting next to you and, just occasionally making each other laugh before a break and things like that. But yeah, things are good. I mean, it's a difficult time, the media business in general. You know how it is. Certainly the case for newspapers too. We're all adjusting to this sort of life in Zoom world, which is very strange. Although, again, it does feel a little bit more normal when I get to kind of hang out with you and go about our day.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think we're all getting a little exhausted of being exhausted about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what we got to do, we got to do. Now, listen, I always touch about 6 or 7 bases with you, so let's go into your original wheelhouse. Folks, when Dan was at WPRI, his 2 major focuses were Providence City Hall or Providence News and education. Now that he's at the Boston Globe Online, he's got those 2 breads and butters, and he's flushing out a whole bunch of other things, covering the State House and the like as well. So there's a lot to get into. This education thing, man, the governor, I know, was fiddling with, and the ed commissioner was fiddling with an August 31st start date, a few weeks back when she announced it. But there's no doubt in my mind that my intelligence tells me that she more or less sprung this. It wasn't a military secret, nor was it a date from Pluto, but I think post her mask episode at the State House, she needed to change the conversation, and she just said, hey, by the way, 2-hour warning, we're going to school August 31st. Did you read it the same way?
100%, Dan. In fact, and not just the mask incident at the State House, outside the State House on that night. I think, and you've touched on this a lot, both on the radio and on the show. For a while, the governor was going through, having a Monday, Wednesday, Friday press conference. In fact, actually at the time, she was still going every day. And she found herself in a situation of always needing to make news. And I think there's no question she sprung this on, so much so that you heard superintendents say, and I know from even talking directly to the education commissioner, Angelica Infante-Green, that there was a big difference in what the governor proposed, or the governor comes out and says, hey, everyone back in school August 31st. I talked to superintendents and the state who folks were saying, look, this is, we're going to come up with a plan that maybe you get the elementary school kids back, because you have to make sure parents get back to work, things like that. But high school kids, maybe we'll come up with a plan where they stay home or stay home for part of the time. To have that information kind of sprung on you I know it was stunning for a lot of folks. And now the state is dealing with the repercussions of it, because now you have a goal, and now it's out there. August 31st is supposed to be the date. And so if you don't get to August 31st, or if you have a situation where suddenly you have to go back to a remote learning plan early in the year or to begin the year, it almost looks like a failure for the governor, and they don't want that to happen.
Yeah, well, guess what? While I think she is I've said this in writing and on the radio and I think she's a wholly better person than Donald Trump. but I'll tell you, she's got some Trumpian traits. And posting that date uh, put a lot. It's not much different, to be honest with you, but between what Betsy DeVos is doing right now as the ed secretary and what the administration is doing. You know, I do believe that this governor, as a mom, will be more empathetic to the idea that it just can't happen if it just can't happen. And the three-tier system that they have of full-blown school, hybrid school, online school gives the commissioner some flexibility. But you're right. I wanted to see a bottom-up post. I wanted to see a bottom-up process. I wanted to see the superintendents brainstorming in a meeting, putting things up on the board. Can we do this? Can we do that? How about transportation? Blah, 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 blah. Instead, she, boom.
When you hear folks talk about, when the superintendents talk about the transportation challenge that comes out of this, and people think transportation, you suddenly think of, you think of Providence or you think of the cities. It's actually more of a problem in the suburban districts where, you talk to different superintendents, talk to the superintendent in Lincoln or anywhere really where you have a lot of kids who take the bus to school because there isn't a lot of, sidewalks and things like that. And there's not neighborhood schools in the same way that you think of when you think of, a Providence type situation where you have 40 schools to deal with. And I think they really did not think out how transportation will work, and they still haven't quite figured that out. And now we're talking, it's July. Very quickly, we're going to be into August. You're going to have everybody scrambling to figure out what's happening. It's still, I think the state has a goal of trying to get this done, but I'm skeptical that they're going to be able to really roll this out on August 31st.
Well, what's interesting is that the standardized school schedule I'm a fan of, because I always feared that kids in different districts would have different vacations and this and that, and the social distance learning thing that they've got. Okay, so now we've learned to do online and no more snow days. So here's COVID life-changing things forever. But look, there are communities right now that will not cry a river over postponing school starting at least until after Labor Day, if only to save a week's worth of South County economy.
Yeah.
And I think there are going to be some cities here, although the bug is quelled a little bit, a lot of bit. We worry about a second wave or repercussions in the rest of the country, but there will be cities and towns still that can't make August 31st for safety reasons anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. I think when you look at the urban districts, when you're still seeing in those communities, the Central Falls and the Providences, when you're still seeing test positive rates of, around 10%, things like that. We were when the state had, statewide, when we had infection rates that were that high, we were still in deep crisis, right? We were talking about, at that time, we were still asking, when is any segment of the economy going to open? So if you have, a Providence, let's say, or a Central Falls that's got, 7-8% positive rates still heading into the school year, makes it very, very difficult. And we haven't even talked about what it means to the teachers who, are largely an older class and are potentially at higher risk, certainly at higher risk than kids, but at high risk of ending up, being sick themselves.
Do you find it interesting? I find it interesting. So I wonder if you do, that the unions are pretty aggressive about going back to school. Bob Walsh of the NEA has been a guest here, and let's do it. And the AFT, to a certain degree, they seem to want. Obviously, teachers are frustrated with distance learning. At the same time, they have to be protected, and so I wonder it'll be what their tone and what their psychological take on this thing is as we get nearer and nearer. You got a prediction about that or a feeling?
Of course, we've never had anything really like this, but in other situations, you might predict that the union would say, as union leadership would say, no, we're going to settle for, we're going to wait for the best deal we could get or best agreement we can get in place. And we're very, very concerned about all of our members. You're seeing that nationally. Randy Weingarten, the president of the AFT nationally, is kind of making a big deal out of this right now in New York. You would think that would be the case. Instead, what I'm more concerned about, I'm not saying this is the case yet, but with the union leadership here, generally, like you said, on board, I do wonder if they're going to have to kind of change their tone once teachers start to really think about, once rank and file teachers start to think about what the classroom is actually going to look like. I wonder if you'll see the tone change. I could see that. I'm hearing from teachers all the time who do have real concerns about going back. I think the majority of them do want to be back in a classroom, but I think they want to make sure they're safe, and I think it's understandable for that reason.
Yeah. Do you think that we're going to have any, I don't know, interval warning about progress in the next week or two?
I think by August 1st, we'll have a sense of whether or not this is going to be in any way realistic. And then I think you'll start to potentially see maybe the tone change even from the governor. One thing you mentioned before, and I think you're actually right, you're spot on, that in a couple of different ways, the governor has sounded a lot more like President Trump than she would maybe want to believe, whether it's schools, whether it's reopening the economy. She moved much faster than some of her peers in New England. But one thing to your point from before is, I do think the governor is willing as a mother to kind of say, hey, I got this one wrong, or let's put the brakes on this. It was an ambitious goal, but maybe we have to split it a little bit. I do think there's a scenario. So I would say look out by August 1st in that range to kind of get a real update for what's happening.
And to that point too, guess who else is a mom? The education commissioner.
That's right.
I'm very bullish on her. I think she's terrific in a lot of ways. She's made it clear, even when the governor got aggressive, if I don't feel like this is safe, I am going to speak up. So, I mean, you got a couple of moms at the helm here, right?
Yeah. And by the way, she was caught maybe not as off guard by the governor's announcement as some of the superintendents, but make no mistake about it, she was caught off guard by the kind of deliberate date and the kind of uniform idea of everyone goes back August 31st. And so, yeah, I think you're right. And she has not always agreed with the way the governor is handled. Certainly in Providence, she has not always agreed exactly with what the governor has wanted to do. And so, I do think the governor will defer to her. I think you'll see, if they ever do announce they have to push things back a little bit, it'll be the the commissioner who is on stage taking the questions. I think you can bet that will happen.
There's no doubt. When we come back, we'll dovetail into Providence because, in case you've ever heard, there's a turnaround plan. Dan McGowen. Excuse me. Stay with us. With Dan McGowen, Boston Globe Online. By the way, we're fine. Just a little bit of that allergy / something in the throat. Dan, speaking of education, once upon a time there was a John Hopkins report, and
yes.
The city of Providence was all messed up. And we've got a new super who's been a guest here and on the radio, and talking about trying to figure out the mission statement overall, and then the COVID adaptation of the mission statement.
Yeah.
Boy, does Harrison Peters, he has a lot on his plate right now, and I still think it's a lot on AIG's plate. I mean, this is not an exclusive responsibility for him, but between the two of them, you can't get a heavier lift adding COVID in, right?
Think about that. You're asking to turn around the capital city school district, a large school district, not by just Rhode Island standards, but Providence is a large school district by national standards. It's not New York, but it's not tiny. You add in COVID, and by the way, which of course can't be understated, COVID is everything right now. And of course that should be their top priority. But then you add in, the racial tension that we're seeing in this country, and you add in sort of the elements that they have to think about, with that, this is a really difficult uphill battle. And for the superintendent, at least one thing, Commissioner Infante Green got here last year. She got her feet wet. She certainly got, a ton of good press, I think, early on. I mean, the superintendent comes in February and immediately gets thrown into COVID, and then, has to come out with a plan to reform the Providence schools. I mean, he hasn't had a normal day as superintendent yet.
No. My guess is they will be amongst the later school district to start. Do you agree?
I tend to think, given the situation in Providence with COVID, given where they are potentially on their teacher's contract, I could see a scenario where they start a little bit later.
It seems that both teachers unions, at least for triage, work issues aside contract issues aside, and got right to it, right? I mean, they got right to it. What is there anything COVID plus in the contract negotiation now with the teachers union in Providence that wasn't there before that could be a hang up?
Let's face it, COVID is one of the great bargaining chips you could ever have as a teachers union. And so when you're in this, this situation where you are negotiating a contract and you've got a commissioner and a superintendent who are pretty aggressive about what the change they want to see, I don't think it's, it doesn't sound great, but I don't think it's unreasonable to predict that the union, at least in Providence, may, attempt to negotiate something using COVID, not as an excuse, but just it is a factor at play here.
All right. Well, it's going to be fascinating to see, how the system statewide opens up and how Providence.
Yeah.
All we can do is wish them all great luck. I mean, you and I spend a lot of time scrutinizing what public officials do, but you have to feel a very deep sense of empathy, if not sympathy, for what they've got to tackle right now. Not easy.
Oh my God, you're entirely right. And by the way, for all the folks who, it's one thing, and you mentioned you and I scrutinize politicians and administrators all the time. It's one thing when you're, Providence, or you're the state education commissioner, or you're the governor dealing with this, or the union leadership. But, you think about some of the challenge that some of our school superintendents and our principals have, especially in these smaller districts. I mean, this is an incredibly difficult battle.
Let's talk about, when we come back, the lieutenant governor's efforts to try to get small business grants in. Dan's working on that story as we speak. And again, this is a Wednesday night program recorded on Monday, so things will be developing. Right back with Dan McGowen, Boston Globe, here on My State of Mind. Stay here. Welcome back. Dan McGowen, Boston Globe Online with me. Your coverage of the State House has been impeccable. In fact, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the George Floyd / Rayshard Brooks social justice reaction. That's 14 new shows. But your work on that was incredible. Lieutenant Governor Dan McKees has gotten very aggressive. He suggested the governor herself was committing political malpractice during the petition signed by thousands last week, asking for $125 million of COVID money to come to grants for small businesses. Many other states have done so. She's hoarding the money, transparently saying she's hoarding the money.
Yep.
Fear of having to plug budget holes. That's not what the prescription is. So she's a hedge game. What are you hearing is going to happen here? Will she come to the table? And by the way, will she ever recognize the effort by the small business RI people and the lieutenant governor put this together?
Look, the lieutenant governor, Dan McKees, has picked, I think, not just a really good political issue, but a really important issue to take on here. And I think he's going to have it pay off for him. Whether or not he gets the credit for it or not, that's a different thing, because you are going to see the governor this week, potentially as soon as, if we're taping on Monday, but this runs on Wednesday, potentially as Wednesday, you'll see the governor roll out a plan that is somewhere in the range. I think the number she's going to use is $200 million of a package, not just for small businesses, but for job training and other programs like that. And from the number that I'm hearing is roughly $80 to $100 million for small businesses. Now, that doesn't quite get you in the range that Lieutenant Governor McKee wants, but it does get you further than probably you and I would have thought or predicted maybe a week ago.
How is she going to do? How are you hearing she's going to distribute that money? I mean, he suggested it goes right to the, do a prorated thing across the population, have towns administer. Commerce, has done some good things, but is notorious for screwing bureaucratic things. Notorious.
Well, so no, I would venture to guess you will not see, or the governor probably does not want to hand more money off to the cities and towns to make those decisions, because that just creates, I think, more bureaucracy. I do think you'll see, direct cash payments, and I'm not sure though where they stand on simply that revenue replacement for all those weeks lost, being closed.
I hope they don't tie it to specific uses and get involved in all that mumbo jumbo. Do a formula. See how many folks apply under a qualified formula that COVID shutdown, blah blah blah, didn't get PPP. Cap it at 10, 15 grand or bonus for PPP missing, and just give them a check and let them figure out what they need. You don't need to micromanage small businesses. You don't.
Yeah, the truth is, Dan, what they should do is create a program and let the lieutenant governor run it. A guy who's done the work and who knows, kind of what he's doing and has led the charge on this. There are politics at play here. Something tells me they're not going to ever really see eye to eye on this. But the smart play would be to give the lieutenant governor something substantive to do.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays. We'll see what she comes up in her big. Well, you will have seen what she came up with Wednesday night. We will for sure check back with Dan over the next week or two on this one. The working relationship up and intact. Got to run. Dan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Always true.
Thanks so mught, Dan. Appreciate it.
Globe Online's Dan McGowen. Final word when we come back. Please stay with us. Dan McGowen's insight. It'll be very interesting to see what happens and what's going on with the reaction to the governor's reach to the small business community. The impact of the Rhode Island smallbusiness.org, no matter what the format the governor's come up with here for money, is significant. Let's make sure this whole thing works. And believe me, we'll be covering this. I am on furlough on the radio on the week that you're seeing this originally, but we will be chasing this down on both TV and radio, of course, the coming weeks. Thanks for watching. Good night.